And happy Friday, everybody. Good to have you with us at the Cabin Fever Podcast. It's Brent Bailey, and hopefully you're having a good day where you are. It is the 4th of June, 5th of June. My goodness, this year is flying by so fast. 6 months into it. I feel like 2 months of it just kind of went like that. Like I took a nap, I woke up, and here we are. It's June the 5th. And I got a great show planned for you today. We have got former Team USA track phenom Alexis Love with us today. She's going to come on in just a few minutes and talk. We've been looking at everything going on in the country right now, and we just want to encourage everybody to please be safe. Use good judgment in this. Those of you who are members of the black community, understand that your friends here at the Cabin Fever Podcast, we are behind you. We are voicing our concerns and our voice for change with you. I did the entire show. In fact, we actually did an hour-long show on Wednesday. And if you haven't had a chance to see it, I would encourage you to go back and watch it. We had Dr. Joseph Ripley of the Body of Christ International Church in Atlanta, Georgia, come on and really give us a good education about some things and to help us to move forward from here. I was talking to my friend Josh Huffman today, who's a pastor of New Life Church in Huntington, West Virginia, and we were talking about, how did Jesus act when Jesus was upset? Because there's a lot of folks saying, oh, man, we should just be praying, we should just be doing this, and, you just pray, and I hear a lot of other folks saying, that, prayer sometimes isn't enough, and I come from a Word of Faith background. That's so true that there is so much that faith without works is dead, and that you do need to add to your faith works, and you do need to show what you believe. And so that's what Josh and I were kind of discussing this morning, and he actually posed a great question. He said, what did Jesus do when he was so upset? When Jesus got upset, what was his response? And here are some things to think about. John 11:35, Jesus showed emotion. What is that? That is when he stood at the tomb of Lazarus, and he actually said, he actually wept. So it's okay to show emotion. During these times, you should be showing emotion. If you're not, I wonder if you even have a pulse. Jesus showed emotion. Then Jesus also showed compassion. We're not here to preach today, but you can go to Matthew chapter 14, verse 14, and you can see that he showed compassion on those who were hungry, those who were sick, and you can look at that on your own time, but Jesus did show compassion. He also did show anger. Mark chapter 3, verse number 5, he looked at them in anger, and he said, fine, bring your son here. And so it's okay to be angry during these times. But then he also, in Luke chapter 9, verse 41, he did vent frustration. And you can go and read about that time. But here's the key, and this is what Josh was saying that was so powerful to me. He said, in each and every one of these situations, he responded to the emotion by prayer and by ministering, by healing, by building and restoring and loving people for the kingdom of God. Even when he was hanging on the cross, he chose to forgive. And so here's the thing. There is only one thing that will never fail. Folks, people are going to fail you. Human beings are going to fail you. Laws are going to fail you. Rulers are going to fail you. There's only one thing that doesn't fail. Only one. And it's the only place in the whole Bible where it says that. Only one thing does not fail, and that is the love of God. And so with all these outpouring of emotion and all this outpouring of support for certain things and all the anger that is rightly justified, understand this. The love of God is the only thing that's going to change anything. So be encouraged. We're with you. We believe in you. We're going to stand with you through this entire thing. Those of you who are members of the Caucasians, us white folks, listen, you need to lend a sympathetic ear and learn and listen and understand that life is not what you think it is for everybody. There are people out there that are facing things that are not the same as the way you've been brought up in. And so just understand that. You need to learn, have discussions, ask how you can help, and then go out and help. Go and do something for those folks that need your help. and that goes across the board anyway, towards everybody. So here in the studio with me, I got Jody and Luke, who are always here with me. And guys, just want to say, first of all, welcome. Good to have you back with us.
Hello.
It's good to. I'm sitting here looking at them across. One day we're going to have a secondary camera over here so that you can see them as well. Just real quick, guys, your thoughts over the last few days.
Go ahead.
Thoughts on what?
On everything.
On everything.
On everything.
I know for me, my heart's broken. I mean, for where we've gone in society, and we've allowed ourselves to become so complacent in the way we think, in the way we treat other people, and it breaks my heart. Really breaks my heart. And I've been praying so much for the Black community and for everybody and leadership. Yeah. Praying for protection and praying for people to just experience a revelation of God.
Yeah, so good. Luke?
I don't know. As I pray, I get the scripture, judgment starts with the house of the Lord. And we are all called to pray for our nation. And so I think as Christians, we should realize that a lot of this, it starts with us. We have to be praying.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. So anyway, just listen. If you're going to be out marching, understand you have our full support here. Be safe. Use wisdom. Those of you who are going to be out stirring up trouble. Now, I know that's a smaller percentage of people, but listen, don't make this about you. Let this stand for what it is and let it make its statement. All right? Yes. All right. Let's move on to our guest today. Our guest today is a track phenom. She has trained for the 2012, 2016, and 2020 U.S. Olympic team. She has been part of Team USA in track and field. She was recently inducted into the Murray State, where she attended college, Hall of Fame for track. I had the pleasure of meeting her a few years ago at a Orlando Magic game. We were there to support a mutual friend of ours is Dr. Loretta Justin, who owns Millennium Eye Center here in Orlando. Our guest's sister also works there as an optometrist, and we were there to support the firm because they were sponsoring the night. And I sat next to our guest and really just kind of struck up a conversation. She told me she had gone to school in Kentucky, and I was like, "Hey, I'm from Kentucky." And I'm sure the whole night she probably thought, "What is this dude? Why will he not leave me alone to watch the game?" But because I started to ask questions about what she did, and she was telling me how she was training for the Olympics. Well, you don't get that every day. And so I am so excited to have with us, she's an author who's written a book called Running for My Life. Please welcome to the Cabin Fever podcast, Alexis Love. Alexis, welcome, and it's so good to have you. I guess we got you standing on your head there. So can you turn your screen back around for us? You're standing on your head again. So
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was good there for a minute, but then it changed. So that's how she looked at me the whole night. Right there was like, "What? Why are you talking to me?"
Okay.
That's better. So good. Okay. So how you doing? And welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Oh man, we're so excited to have you. First of all, congratulations on the Hall of Fame induction. Tell us about that. What was that like?
Thank you. So the Hall of Fame induction was random. I retired from the sport of track and field last May of 2019, and it wasn't 2 weeks later, I received a call from the athletic director, and he says, "Alexis Love?" I said, "Yes, speaking." And he said, "Well, I have great news." I said, "Okay." And he said, "We are going to induct you into the Hall of Fame. You just became eligible this year, and you'll be the youngest inductee." And the call came out of nowhere while I was sitting at work, literally 2 weeks after I retired from the sport. So it was amazing. It seemed like it was out of the blue, but it was almost confirmation for me that I had done enough in the sport.
That's so cool. Now you were training all the way up until March last. Is that what you said? March. you led. We're getting ahead of ourselves because I know I want to talk about the Olympic team and the trials and everything. But your story starts way before then. You were born here in Florida, and you kind of started to face some adversity, and you got into track. And in your bio and in your book, you said that saved your life. Tell us what was going on then.
Yes, absolutely. So I was born and raised in Palmetto, Florida, and I was raised by my grandmother. She took me in at the age of 4 because my mom had struggles as a young mom. And so my grandmother, essentially, she adopted me into her home. And around the age of 12, because I had encountered so many struggles in my upbringing and dealt with different things, I joined the track team. I didn't know what I was doing, didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I said, I wanted to be a part of a team. And I went out there and I made the team. Now, when I got to high school, everyone was saying, well, I don't know if you're going to make it because you have exercise-induced asthma. And so for me, I was determined to run regardless. I went to some of the best cardiologists in Tampa, Florida, and no one signed off for me to run. They did not clear me, but I knew, I said, this is something that is my own. I love it. I feel like I belong here, and I'm going to continue going on. And so that's why when, before I start every race, I always pray. I said, because, this could be my last race. And so when I started to...
Wait a second. You were not cleared to run medically when you first started. No. And it was because of a heart condition? Is that what you just said?
Yes. Yes. At first, they thought I had a hole in my heart. And so they ran tests. They did different EKGs. And then we took a stress test. They couldn't find anything. But they just knew that something was wrong. So they said, okay, she has asthma. We'll give her an inhaler. Yeah.
And you weren't medically cleared, and you start running, and evidently you were really good at it. You started winning races.
Yes, absolutely. And by the time I was in high school, everyone knew of Alexis Love. They labeled me as Manatee County's top sprinter. Wow. I was the only one to go to the state final at my high school during that time in 2008. And by the time I was a senior in high school, people were reaching out to my grandmother. I literally had a shoebox full of letters, offer letters from Florida State, Ole Miss. I mean, just every school that you can think of, Notre Dame. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go to Kentucky. I'm going to sign to Murray State University because at the time, they were the ones offering me a full ride scholarship. And I never seen mountains before. I never seen snow, right? Because I'm a Florida girl. And so I signed to Murray State. And that's kind of where everything it just got better for me. But even my freshman year, I get to college and I was not cleared either. So I sat out for a year.
Oh, my goodness. I mean,
yeah.
Now, see, was not familiar with that part of your story. This is Alexis Love. She is a former part of Team USA track. She's been a professional athlete for the last 6 years, or probably longer than that. I think I read that on your bio. Those 6 years
yeah, that's right.
and you're facing so much adversity. Your body's not cooperating to do what you love to do. And I think we have some footage of you running. Y'all don't understand what we're talking about here. We're not just talking about, oh, she's fast on track and field day in 5th grade. We're talking world-class sprinting here. And Alexis is there in Kentucky, which if y'all don't know where Murray State is it is not in a big city at all. She's going to the countryside out into the middle of nowhere. And you're going on a full ride, which is, I mean, just if you stopped with this story right there, it's outstanding. So how did your college career end up going after you finally get cleared and you start running?
Sure. So after my first year, of course, I gained the freshman 15. And my sophomore year, I felt like I was behind. And so when I spoke to the coach, I said, Coach, he asked for my goals. And I told him, I said, my goal is I want people to know Alexis Love. When I step foot on the track, I want them to know me, especially coming from a small town. Palmetto is small in Florida. And so for me to go from that and then to attend Murray State on National Signing Day, everyone was saying, what in the world? Why Murray State? And so my sophomore year, I said, you know what? I have to make a name for myself. I trained hard. I was taking 17 hours as far as my classes go. And sometimes it was just my coach and I out there on the track, just the two of us. And it was in rain, sleet, and snow. It didn't matter. And so when things really started to turn around for me were my junior year. It was 2012. And I was just running and running. And when I say track saved my life, as a little girl, I experienced things, childhood traumas, things that people are saying you're not supposed to make it out. Statistics say that if you have this number of adverse childhood experiences, whether it's any type of child abuse, sexual abuse, depression, suicidal thoughts, the statistics say that you are going to be on some type of drug. You will not make it out. You may be incarcerated and things like that. And so when I say track saved my life, it did, because with everything that I felt on the
You're okay. You're still there.
Okay. So everything I felt on the inside, I would take that out on the track. And so while people were saying she's an amazing athlete, I was thinking they have no idea what I have going on the inside. But I never let that stop me. I didn't have that victim mentality. And so that's what I mean. Track saved my life. There were days where I'm like, why am I going through this? Why does it have to be me? And that's how my book came about as well. I've been journaling since I was 8 years old. It's my diary. I bought an old raggedy diary from the dollar store, and it was my lifeline. It was my lifeline. And so 2012, I was putting work in on the track. I was Pepsi Athlete of the Week, OVC, Ohio Valley Conference Athlete of the Year. I broke records that were 20 years old, and then I came back and broke my own records. And that hadn't been done in 20 years at the university. Yes. And so at a conference track meet, I actually qualified for the Olympic trials. And I can still remember that moment.
I bet.
I don't care what anyone says. Even as a professional athlete, you still get nervous. You still get the bubble bags.
I hope so.
And so I stepped on the track and I ran the 100 meter and I ran the 200 meter. And when I passed the finish line, I ran across and everyone's like, Alexis Love just ran the A standard for the U.S. Olympic trials. I'm like, no, because I was just very humble and I couldn't believe it.
Were you trying for it though? I mean, I mean, was this something you just thought, I'm going to try it, or were you really going in there with the focus of I'm going to get this done?
I just wanted to win my race. I wasn't thinking about the Olympics or the Olympic trials. And so when I ran the A standard, and the A standard is basically when you run the A standard, no one can take your lane. You are locked in. Wow. You are locked in. No one can push you out of that spot. So you're guaranteed to go to the Olympic trials. And so then 15 minutes later, I did the same thing in the 200 meter. And I also broke the stadium record. And it was a week had gone by, and I told my coach, I said, is this real? He said, yes. I said, send me the paperwork, because I still could not believe it. I returned back to the university. I was attending classes, going to study hall, still going to practice. And they're like, Alexis, this is real. And at that moment, I still did not understand how much of a huge, just impact that was, because I was one of 7 college athletes to go to the 2012 U.S. Olympic trials and to run against all the other professional athletes at the time. So I was only 20 years old and a junior in college when I ran my first Olympic trials.
Oh my goodness. So, all right. So let's talk about that for just now. You get to the Olympic trials, you're 20 years old and you're ready to, you got to just be blown away, because you're getting in the blocks against the biggest of the big. I mean, the biggest names that are out there. Were you struck a little bit that day? Like, yeah, I mean, I know this person, I know that person, I'll try and run like them, or did you have that kind of feeling that day, or tell us about that?
Yeah. Yes, of course. So from the time I got on the plane, which I thought was crazy, I went from being on a university bus to now flying on a plane with my coaches to go to the U.S. Olympic trials. And I always had this thing. I told my coach, I said, Coach, I do not want to know who's in my heat, and that's my race. I said, I don't want to know who I'm running against. Just tell me what time to be there and I'll show up. I just always had this thing. And I knew, especially going into the U.S. Olympic trials, people like Allison Felix and Sonia Richards-Ross, the people that I look up to and the people that I watch on TV are in my lane and in my heat. And I'm like, wow, I am about to run against them. And when I got to the Olympic trials, it was very, it was legit. It was official. You had bodyguards everywhere. They walked you around. I mean, it was different from the collegiate level. And now I'm running at the U.S. Olympic trials. And even at that time, it just felt surreal. I'm like, is this really happening? Even when I would see myself on TV and they would announce my name, I'm like, is that me on the big screen? Like, how did this happen? A little girl who was 12 years old, who was running from pain and all these other things, and then on the other side gets to college, and now I'm running in the U.S. Olympic trials. I was just having fun with track.
Yeah. So
Trying to find my place in the row.
let me ask you this though. Now, because I've talked to other elite athletes. A few weeks ago, we had Daryl Strawberry on. We had a couple other elite athletes where we've talked to them and just said in the moment, were you overwhelmed like mentally? And when I asked that question to Daryl just said, I was until I got my coach got a hold of me, and then I was okay, and I never really thought about it anymore after that. Would that be the same for you? I mean, were you just like overwhelmed with the mentality of the whole thing until you got in the starting blocks and you really got going?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And I was the athlete where I liked my space. And so when I told my coach how I felt, he could see it on my face. I'm like, Coach, this is a lot. So what we did, we went to the track every day, and we had our special hiding spot. So he would say, hey, that looks like a good place over there in the grass. Let's go stand by that fence and warm up, just to get away from the media, because now you go from I'm a college athlete to I'm a college athlete, and now there's cameras everywhere. So it's like 10 times as hard to focus, and it was overwhelming, because now I have massage therapists and chiropractors, and oh my goodness, it was so much. And then I get back to my hotel room, and I have over 300 text messages and over 100 missed calls from people wanting to tell me good luck and things like that. And so I was like, it can be very overwhelming.
All
and
right.
You have to be in the right mental space.
Okay, so that brings us to this question: What did you do to get yourself prepared for that? I know the physical training side of it speaks for itself. I mean, anybody that knows an elite athlete knows that they're spending their whole life, at the gym, at the track, doing their thing. But then the mentality of it seems to be what separates the very best from the average. What were you doing to keep yourself mentally prepared to be in that space?
Sure. So for me, I have a routine. I pray a lot and I meditate. And sometimes for me, that's just sitting still in my hotel room, reading a book, literally doing something that has nothing to do with track and field, just separating the two. And then I would watch Law and Order. That used to be my favorite TV show. Law and Order.
Everybody got that? Everybody watch Law and Order. That's the secret of the greats.
Right. So I watched Law and Order, and then I would go see a movie. And for dinner time, I would always go to Olive Garden and order Alfredo. It was a thing for me.
So what I'm hearing you say is you allowed yourself to have some downtime away from everything. So,
oh yeah,
so that your mind could process. All right.
Yeah, it has to be that way.
All right. So you get all the way up until this 2019. You're preparing. I know I saw video of you in Louisville for a while, and now you're in Houston. You were training. You were getting ready, and then you felt like the Lord was telling you that it's time to retire. Where did the switch come in?
Right. And let me just say this: I've moved 13 times total for track and field. Yes, 13 times, and this is special to me because this is my first time actually sharing this part of my retirement. So wow. I was training.
Well, we're honored. We're honored to be the first place that you're doing this at.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. So my last track meet was March of 2019, and that was at Texas Relays. I was running on the Team USA relay team, and afterwards I started to feel different. And so I called a few family members and I said, hey, I'm done. And they're like, are you sure? Are you injured? And I'm like, I'm not injured. I think that I'm done. And it's this feeling that I've always felt for the past couple of years, something that's just been tugging on my heart, like Alexis, this is it. So I was battling between the two. And last March was the race that I ran in April. It's my birthday month. And the closer it got to my birthday, I was very emotional. And I was just talking to God and I said, God, I'm not happy. And I don't think that I'm doing what you called me to do in this season. And I kid you not, I heard this small voice say, stop running. It's clear as day. And I sat back and I went in the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I'm like, is that me? Was that me or is that God? Like, who said that? And I said, stop running. And to me, it didn't make any sense to stop running. I've been running track since I was 12. So at the time I was 28. That's 16 long years of training, hardcore training. And I said, God, I need you to confirm that this is you. I went to bed that night on my birthday, April 24th. I woke up and he said, it's time to rest. And he showed me, Alexis, you've been running for so long, but not only have you been running for your life, you've been running from your life, the life that I have. Yes. And he told me, he said, that pain that you've dealt with as a child and a young adult, he said, that pain has a purpose. And now I need you to do something different. And that is to motivate, to serve, and to inspire my people. And so when he told me that, I cried. I cried like a baby, because for the first time I felt like I was finally free, and I no longer had to run into the world. It doesn't make sense, and it still doesn't make sense. Why would Alexis Love retire when she's officially on Team USA? She's running 2 Olympic trials, and I didn't share this earlier, but I missed the Olympics twice by 1 race. So everyone said 2020 is your year, right? You're going to go to Tokyo because third time is a charm. So I had to do this on my own, because every time I reached out to someone, I said, I feel like God is calling me to retire. They say, no, that's not right. And so when I retired, I didn't tell anyone. I signed my paperwork, I submitted it, I retired, and that's when 2 weeks later they called and inducted me to the Hall of Fame. And that was, for me, that was like God's stamp of approval, saying, Alexis, you have done enough in the sport. It is time to move on.
And then of course, with everything that happened with COVID and everything got postponed, I mean, to me, it's like you made the right call, because it was almost like God knew all this was coming. So it was like, okay, you're good. And then,
yes.
and now we don't know. Have they even announced when the Olympics are? I don't think they've even got them officially rescheduled yet. So you'd just still be in limbo. And so that's to me, that's just a God confirmation that we're hearing from God at the right time. That's so awesome. So now you're an author now. You're a speaker. Now I know the other bad part about COVID would be that you probably aren't doing a lot of events, so people aren't having speakers in. But that is the next step for you, right? Is to become a regular speaker out there on the circuit.
Yes, absolutely. So my dream has always been to travel the world, internationally and nationally, and to spread God's love, his gospel, and to be a speaker, to encourage people. And now I do that, on a local level and on a national level. I do travel from state to state. I speak at schools, organizations, associations, because I know now that my story is not about me, and it's more to me than just track. So when I tell people of my track career, I say I'm more than an athlete. I am an author. I am a speaker, and I do believe that I was called to do something that's out of this world, that's bigger than the Olympics.
So good. This is Alexis Love. She is a Murray State. What are they? The thoroughbreds or the what?
Thoroughbreds?
That's what I thought. Yeah, the Murray State thoroughbred. She's in the Hall of Fame down there, the Athletic Hall of Fame. But now she's an author and a motivational speaker, traveling and making a difference for the kingdom. I wish we had more time with you. This has been so good. And if you would like to get in touch with her, right there is her information. It's motivatewithlove.com. And I'm just going to tell you, the fact that you were able to make your name your brand is so awesome. I mean, you just love when that happens. But motivatewithlove.com. She's also on Twitter and Instagram at Alexis L. Love. If you look her up on YouTube, it's at Alexis Love, and then, of course, official Alexis Love on Facebook. Reach out to her. If you're looking for a good motivational speaker and a good message, man, you couldn't do much better than this young lady right here, and we're just so thankful that we were able to have you on the program today. And once we go off here, hang on the line for a few minutes, because I need to talk to you about a couple other things, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. That's Alexis Love, everybody, and good luck to you. All right, everybody, listen, as we wind up today's program, man, just keep in mind the things that she was talking about. Sometimes God does things in your life that surprise you so much that you don't even know, you can't even hardly comprehend what you're standing in front of. But if you've prepared yourself and you've worked really hard, man, that's when the doors really begin to open for you through what God's got planned for you. You'll want to join me next week on the program. I've got lots of good guests planned to come in. I've got Pastor Rob Yannick from Columbus, Ohio. I've got Pastor Tony Dunn coming from Corona, California, amongst other folks. So you want to tune in next week, because we've got a lot of great programming left for you. Until next Monday at 2:30 Eastern Time, all you folks on the West Coast, it's 11:30 your time. We love you. God bless you. Have a great rest of your day. Get outside and enjoy and break the cabin fever. Have a great day, everybody.